Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me? Happy Friday, everybody. What's happening? Everybody staying warm here in the U.S. Who we got on here? Let's see. Jersey Red holding it down. What's up, Rusty? Thank you. Tien, how are you? 295 Tramp. What's up? Larry, what's going on? Welcome. HH, welcome. Happy Friday. Jack, what's going on? What else we got here? Steve and NH, what's up? Good to see you. Ray. All right. Elias and DR tonight. Thanks for joining, Elias. As always, Mark B in Oregon. What's up, James in Syracuse? Good to see you. Jake99, what's up? Joshua, how you doing? Russ, what's up? Joshua in Texas. Excellent. DR, what's up? Danny Ryan, good to see you. Scott, how you doing? Erica, hello. Welcome. Eddie G, what's up? In Jersey. Jim Gregory, good to have you with us as always. Thank you. TC in Florida, what's up? 90 Fahrenheit today. Man, it was nice. We in Middle Tennessee, we had nice weather all week, and then it dropped 40 degrees last night. So we're getting a little blast of something. Alonzo, how are you? Sup? Good to see you. Excellent. Jody One, what's up? All right. Well, thanks for joining, everybody, each and every Friday. I appreciate it. Those of you who are just joining for the first time, welcome. If you expand the description below the video, there's a link to the tabs that we go through on these Friday sessions. We're here for an hour on Friday, same time every Friday. And I'll have a little handout ready on the page if you expand the description, and there'll be some tabs that we go through, just some musical examples, maybe some exercises, hopefully something that you can print out or put on your monitor there and kind of follow along, and hopefully get some inspiration, maybe some things you haven't seen before, maybe some things that inspire you to pick up the guitar a little more often over the weekend or into the next week. All right. And as I say with all of these, the idea behind this is to not only just, play around with these examples and, try to get them under your fingers, but experiment with them, take the ideas behind them and run with them, try them in different spots of the neck, try them in different keys, all that kind of stuff. All right. Laura, what's up? Good to see you. Welcome. Excellent. So, usually what we do on the Fridays is we'll alternate between an electric Friday and then do an acoustic Friday. So we're always sort of bouncing back and forth between the acoustic and electric. That being said, most of the time you'll be able to transfer this stuff, regardless of what guitar you have, whether it's an acoustic or electric. These are all skills that you can practice on either for the most part. Okay, we're going to get into a little more, since we're on the electric, sometimes we get into a little more lead guitar kind of stuff. And that's a little more difficult on the acoustic, but not impossible, right? So hopefully we could just glean as much as we can from the handout and apply it to whatever guitar we happen to have. All right. Chris K, welcome from Brisbane. Great to see you. All right. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Once again, expand the description below the video, and you'll see a link to a handout PDF. We got John, first time, Louisville, Kentucky. Thanks for joining, John. I appreciate it. And like I said, grab that PDF, the link for it, and follow along. All right. This is the Steve. What's up? This is the guitar workout volume. What is it? 43. So we've been doing this this is sort of the longest running sort of the series of things that we'll sort of cycle through as we go through every week. Zane, what's going on? Welcome. Good to see you. Usually start the guitar workout with some sort of a warm-up. Okay, so if you check out the PDF, you'll see this, the chromatic warm-up, which we'll usually start with. What's up, Paul? How you doing? And also JC Avi, what's up? Greeting from Colombia. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining from Colombia. Excellent. TC's asking what model year is this guitar? I believe this is either a 2019 or a 2020. It might be a 2020. I think this was a 2020 EVH. It's a special edition Wolfgang special, but limited edition sassafras wood. So that's what that is. All right, Robin, good to have you with us. Thanks. Fatih, what's up? Rory, how you doing from Scotland? Welcome. That's awesome. Arthur, restringing the Telecaster. Well, thanks for joining in. That's awesome. All right, chromatic warm-up. Usually do this, try to get all the fingers involved. Some steady down-up picking across all the strings and all the frets is sort of the idea behind this kind of warm-up. Always good to go as slow as you want to. Go slow enough that you're able to execute this nice and clean. And remember, speed is not sort of the goal of this particular exercise. It's just basically just get moving and start working on getting the fingers in tune with the fretboard, right? So if you have a look at exercise 1, we start on the low string, 4th position, which means index finger on the 4th fret. And we're just going to assign each finger to each corresponding fret. And I've jumbled it up this time. Sort of the most basic sort of chromatic warm-up you can do is just to do one finger as you ascend up, right? But as you can see, I threw a twist into it where we're going to do this sequence where we go index and then up to the 7th fret with the pinky, and then back to the 5th fret for the middle and the 6th fret for the ring. So, okay. We're going to apply that sequence to every string as we go up the strings. All right. Other thing to look out for is the picking direction. We're going to use alternate picking. So it's going to be down, up, all the way through this exercise. This is a great way to burn that in, because what you'll find with alternate picking is that it is a great go-to default picking to have just burned in for yourself so that you don't have to think about it. And for most things, it works out really well as a sort of picking approach or a technique, okay? So we're working on that as well. So if I was to go all up 6 strings and go the first bar and then halfway through the second bar, it's going to sound like this, nice and slow. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Just getting the fingers moving. Again, go as slow as you need to go. There's no problem starting this exercise slow. I had a guitar teacher years ago that I always say, learn it and master it slow, and speeding it up is trivial if you've done the work slowly, right? So we can start, if you do that enough times, enough repetition, you can start to speed that up and it still feels comfortable, right? Okay. So that's what we're going for. But again, this exercise is just to start slow. Now, once we get up to the top, we're going to move up 1 fret. Now we jump into the 5th position. We're just moving up 1 fret, anchoring that index finger at the 5th fret. Now we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to come down the strings, but also sort of do that sequence in reverse. So we're going to start with the 8th fret with the pinky, then to the 5th fret, and then the 7th fret, and then the 6th fret. Whoops, sorry. That's it. Wait a minute. Let's try that again. 8, 5, 7, 6. Okay? That one. Rich, what's up from Beijing? Welcome. Glad you're joining. All right. So, one more time. 8, 5, 7, 6. Down, up, down, up. Now we're going to come down the strings using that sequence. Okay. So that takes us to the end of the 3rd bar, and you see that there's a repeat sign there. You see like sort of a thick bar, vertical bar line at the end of that, and then 2 dots. Okay, that tells you to repeat this. And so you have a couple options. The first thing is if you follow this to the letter, what the repeat sign means is to just go back to the first repeat sign, which is sort of like a brackets right at the beginning of the 1st bar, right? And so we can kind of just come back down 1 fret and just loop it back and forth, just going up 1 fret, down 1 fret, and just loop it back and forth. Another thing you can do is just continue to go up the fretboard. So once I'm here in the 5th position, maybe I take that same sequence and move up 1 fret, 1 more fret, and do that same sequence going up. move up 1 fret, do the descending sequence. And then just keep doing that. Okay. So just a great way to get the fingers going. Just go with it for 2 to 5 minutes, right? Just gets all the fingers going, get some picking going. If you really want to be working on it, on your timing, throw on a metronome click, right? These are 16th notes. So you're going to play down, up, per click, right? 1 E and 2 E and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? You can do that too, okay? Very valuable stuff, I feel like, just to get it going. King 50, what's up? Northern Nevada, checking in. I love it. Welcome. All right. Exercise 2. So came up with a little sort of melody, lick, riff, using the minor pentatonic scale. So I broke exercise 2 up into 2 little chunks. So the first one is 2A. Let's just have a look at the A minor pentatonic scale and sort of wrap our heads around a little bit of what the sound of this is. So starting with A, 5th fret of the low string, and then 3, 5, moving to 7 on the A string. So this involves a position shift, right? I'm going 5, 3, 5, and then moving up 2 frets to 7, and then grabbing 5, 7 on the D string. All right, so what are these notes? Okay, so what we've got is the root, 5th fret of the low string, flat 3rd or minor 3rd, okay? Chromatic, yes, you can slide from 5 to 7 if you'd like, okay? That's actually coming up in the next part of the exercise. So to sort of show you in action some of the things you can do to be a little more expressive with it, I'm just showing this scale without any expressive kind of techniques attached to it, just so we can talk about the notes in the scale. So I've got the root, 3rd fret, that's a C note. That's the minor 3rd of the flat 3rd in the scale. The 4th is on the 5th fret. Don't get confused. I'm talking about intervals, right? Or scale degrees. Root, 3rd, which is minor, or a flat 3rd. Perfect 4th, perfect 5th, flat 7 or minor 7th, and then the octave, okay? This is a pentatonic scale, penta, 5 notes, okay? Root, minor 3rd, 4th, 5th, flat 7 or minor 7th, okay? It's for you, excellent. No worries, thanks for joining, and that's excellent news about last week. Love it. Keep it up. All right. I'm glad this stuff is helpful, okay? So we got 5 notes, root, 3rd, 5th, 4th, 5th, 7th, okay? And the 3rd and the 7th happen to be minor 7ths or flat 7ths. That's the way we think of them to distinguish them, to be really descriptive on what interval or what scale degree we're using. So that's 5 notes. And then we start all over again with the octave, which is the root again. Okay, so this is A. This is also A. You guys know the quick octave trick, right? If you take any note and you skip the next string and go up 2 frets on the string after, you end up with the higher octave of the same note. Okay, a little bit trickier if you start with the D string, because if you do it there and end up on the B string, you have to go 1 extra fret. So it's 3 frets up on the B string, not 2 frets. You can hear that it's wrong, but you hear it's right if you go up 3 frets on the B string. Okay, so what can we do with this? Well, I kind of came up with a little bit of a lick, a melody, a riff even, kind of putting together these notes a little bit and sort of showing off a common thing that you might do with this scale, because a lot of times we're like, okay, great, I practiced these scales. How do I even use them? Well, what we're going to do is do something like this. So okay, that's exercise 2B. That's the first bar, okay? So the first thing to notice is that I actually didn't start on the root, right? I started on the 5th fret of the A string. And then I rolled down to the root. And then I went to the 3rd fret of the A, back to the root. So right there, I've sort of made a different melody, not starting on the root. And of course, we can use the same note in the scale any number of times you want. So you see me, I'm almost pedaling against the root note by playing some other notes in the scale. Now, what's this? The G note, 3rd fret of the low string. I didn't show that in the previous bar, right? But this is another thing to think about, is not only do you want to learn from the root up, but you also want to know if there's notes below the root, because a lot of times we can dip down from the root and grab a note that's lower in the scale. In this case, that G note, 3rd fret of the low string, is an octave of the G note, 5th fret of the D string, right? And that's fair game. It's part of the scale, right? So it's good to sort of be able to see that I can go, you know, just in this position right here. Okay. I played 3 different notes, and then in between, I alternated back to the root. Kind of come up with a little melody or riff in itself, right? That's what I'm saying. Experiment. Take like little chunks of this and kind of mess around with it a little bit. Okay, so that's the first part of this riff is. And now, whoever was talking about the sliding right here, yeah, there we go, Chirac, right? There it is. Sliding is a great way to move positions, right? 5th fret of the A, and I want to move up 2 frets. So just slide that note up to the 7th fret, okay? And then grabbing 5 and 7 on the D string and adding a little bit of vibrato. Here's another expressive technique that we want to do to spice things up. I land on the octave A note, 7th fret of the D string, and I'm just going to let it ring out with some vibrato, okay? If you're on Guitar Tricks, check out the Rock Level 1. Anders has a great series on vibrato and bending and that kind of thing. Some great stuff in there. We've talked about it a lot here on the sessions. But if you want a little extra instruction on that. Okay. So now I've got this cool little lick. This melody uses all the notes in the minor pentatonic scale, right? And it kind of breaks it up a little bit. I'm not just going up the scale, right? Playing an extra little melody down here. What is one of the way I can experiment with this and extend it a little bit? Take little chunks and repeat them, right? Maybe something like that, right? All right. Repeated some of the stuff down here, and then on the slide, right? Once I'm in the position, I could do maybe something like hammer on from 5 to 7 on the A string, grabbing 5 on the D, right? We'll see kind of that stuff up later in the examples, just to show you, okay? One way to kind of expand upon a scale and come up with some different things. Next thing, what you want to do is in the very next bar, okay? So now that you've come up with a melody or a lick or a riff, see where else you can play it on the fretboard, okay? So I'm actually staying in the key of A minor, and I'm just going to find some different spots to play that exact same thing. And so that next bar, bar 6 in the handout, now I've got, okay, playing the exact same thing, but I'm up an octave, right? So now you see that the frets are very similar. The only place where it kind of looks a little different is going up to the B string. And that makes sense because on the B string, we always have to go up 1 fret because it's tuned flat compared to all the other strings, right? So check it out. All that kind of looks the same, but now you're playing it on a different string set, 2 frets up, right? And then 8, 10 on the B string to finish it off, okay? All right, what do we got? Roland, how you doing? Doug Smith, what's up? Thanks for joining, I appreciate it. Roland, what's up? What do we got? James, what's going on? GK, excellent. And Matthew from Edmonton. All right, Matthew, thanks for joining. Okay, so you're kind of with me here. So the idea is that, okay, we came up with a cool thing. Now let's play it all over the neck. Okay. Well, you might want to think about this one a little bit, because what I did was I switched to the middle finger on the 7th fret of the G. Did everybody lose video? Hopefully I'm not cutting out for everybody. From 5 to 7 on the G string, I'm using my middle finger for the slide, so I end up on my middle finger on the 9th fret of the G, and that way I've got the index and ring on the 8th and 10th fret on the B string. Okay, so so you might have to make little fingering adjustments as you go through this. Okay, just to have it make sense, so that it can flow nicely and you can kind of increase the speed a little bit if you so desire. All right. I'm glad the video's not cutting out. Apologize for the problems on your end, Doug. Seems like it's going okay for some other people, so we're good. All right, let's take it again. Bar 7. All right, gonna move it up to up here. Playing it up on the high strings, even an octave higher. Okay, so fingering's a little bit different, again, because of that B string. I've got the A note, 14th fret of the G. The lower G note's 2 frets down on the 12th fret. Okay, 15 and 13 on the B this time. Up to 13, 15, sliding to 17, and then 15, 17 on the high string with vibrato. Okay, so there's another spot where you can do it. Okay. Try to find some other ones, right? You've got an A note at the 12th fret of the A string, right? So you can play it there too, right? Because one of the nice things about the fretboard is that you've got the same notes all over the place, right? A. Okay. So the more you know about the fretboard, the more you know how to transplant this stuff. If you can find as many A notes as possible and then move this entire thing to different spots of the fretboard, you're going to just get that much more comfortable. Okay. Knowing the fretboard and sort of knowing where those notes are when you end up in a different spot on the fretboard. Does that make sense? You with me? All right. So that's exercise 2, everybody. For those of you joining a little bit later, maybe you haven't joined before, you're new, expand the description below the video. There's a link to a PDF. There's a link there, and we're going through some tab musical examples, some musical exercises, hopefully giving you some stuff to work on, right? Exercise 3. Okay, so shifting gears now from all the single note kind of stuff that we're doing. All right, going to get into some strumming and arpeggiation. This is a real world skill here that happens a lot, where you want to combine strumming some stuff and arpeggiating some chords, strumming chords, arpeggiating chords, and doing it within the same sort of thing. Okay. So I'm going to play through this example here and we'll break it down a little bit more. So this is exercise 3. Should mention here, different time signature. All right. 6/8 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Groups of 3 is sort of, we've got that sort of waltz lilting kind of sound to it. All right, let's see if I can play this. All right. This is exercise 3. Here we go. playing first off an open D chord, open D string, second fret of the G, third fret of the B. It's actually just an open power chord at this point, just root and fifth. I haven't added anything on the top string yet. Okay, Ryan, what's up? Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Okay, so now notice I've got these accent marks on the musical staff part of this. And wherever you see that greater sign, greater than sign right under or above a note, it means to kind of accent that. Okay. So as you'll see, if you look through all this, I'm basically accenting the first and also the fourth beat on a few of these. The last two I'm not. So you want to dig in a little bit more, okay? So even just those first three strums, I'm using all downstrokes. The first one I'm digging in, and then just really light after that. So after that, arpeggiating, top string, open E, third fret of the B, second fret of the G. So I'm holding that chord, just playing the power chord at first. And then it turns into a D sus2 because we've got an E note on top instead of the F sharp, which would make it a D major, right? So this is a suspended 2 chord. Okay. All right, yeah. So everybody, I see a little bit about, like how do we send Mike a tip? And guys, I super appreciate that. Matthew, thank you so much. And everybody talking about that. But just know that, they've got the tip thing turned off, and I am, Guitar Tricks is paying me to be here. So it's all good. Okay, guys, this stream is actually just part of a Guitar Tricks thing that they want to do. And of course, Dave does his thing on Wednesday. And we're here doing this each and every week just as part of your subscription for Guitar Tricks. And then they just open it up to everybody else as an advertisement for Guitar Tricks to try, hopefully maybe we get some subscriptions through doing these streams, right? So all good, but I super appreciate the talk about that, all right? Thanks so much. Appreciate that. What's up, John, my man? How you doing? You made it. Laura, I like that. You put the chorus effect on this. This sound nice and wide. With the chorus, absolutely. All right, so okay. So there you go. First three are strums. Second three are picks, right? So you're sort of incorporating. All right. And then in the second bar, I'm going to put my pinky down on the third fret of the high string onto the chord. That makes it a sus4, a D sus4. Okay. Once again, back to the strums. And again, in that second bar, I'm digging in on the downstroke and nice and light on the next strums. Now adding in a little bit of a tricky thing where I'm strumming the chord, second fret of the high string now onto the chord. So now it's a D major. And then in time, I'm going to pull that finger off, do a pull off to the open E string and arpeggiate the third fret of the B. So the first two bars together. So when you kind of break this down, you've got this melody that you're trying to have pop out while sort of still holding on to the chords. And that melody sounds like... Okay? That's the melody that's weaving through, just holding on to this D chord, right? Okay? Cool. So let's go to the third bar here, G. Okay? So I'm grabbing a G chord, third fret of the low string, curling my finger to mute the A string. I've got an open D and G string, and then the third fret of the B string right here. Again, strums. I'm accenting that first strum, light strums after it. Then onto the chord, as that sort of rings out, I'm adding in, I'm holding the 3rd fret of the B already, gonna hit that, open E string, and then back to the 3rd fret of the B, right? Okay, nice little embellishment on the G chord. And then to an E minor 7. Okay, so I've still got the 3rd fret of the B string. I do this, I cheat on this. I do 1 finger on the 2nd fret of the A and D string. Some of you may not be able to kind of make that happen. I've just developed that over the years, right? Just sort of got it so I can get both of those with 1 finger. You might have to use 2 fingers to do that. Okay, that's okay. And just grabbing that chord, same strums, and then the same picking arpeggiation in the last 3 beats. Okay. Let's see here. Sounds a little bit. Well, Chris, thanks so much. I appreciate the kind words on the Friday nights. I just love that you guys get so much out of it. So you know, it's easy to sort of give up the Friday night if you guys are finding it super helpful. Let's see, Russ. Thanks so much for the kind words. Super appreciate that. And we really do our best to be as accurate as possible on those song tutorials. So thanks so much for that. It means the world that you appreciate it. I appreciate that. Awesome. King 50. That pull off in bar 2 is hard to do. Any tricks or just lots of practice? Well, of course, lots of practice, but isolate it. Okay. So you want to just do that little chunk and practice it lots. Okay. Even just that part, okay? Don't worry about the extra pick at the end. Just take that D chord and then work on, see? Not easy, okay? But work on cleanly pulling that downwards. The key is you gotta curl that index finger as much as possible so that it's up, right? You see how I'm coming in as 90 degrees as I can on the G string? That'll give you room to kind of, okay? There's sort of a sweet spot there because if you get too far forward, it's hard to get that middle finger to move. So there's sort of a sweet spot where, ooh. Okay. So as you can see, I'm not really doing it that consistently. So maybe moving it that way a little bit helps. See how I'm kind of moving those fingers after the pull off, kind of pushing them forward a little bit. But then again, everybody's fingers are a little bit different, right? We're all different sizes. So you just got to experiment, see if there's a finger placement that works, it makes more sense for you. And if you're starting to have some success with it, then it's just repetition and trying to get it that way every time. Okay. Hope that helps for you. But yes, lots of practice, as you know. All right. Cool. All right, exercise 4. I got this crazy song that I'm going to be filming next week for Guitar Tricks. We've gotten a lot of Rolling Stone songs recently and a lot of the early stuff. And so to be honest, since I'm sort of a more of a later Stones guy, 68 to 72 kind of was my sweet spot. I didn't know a lot of these really early Stones things. And there's this one song that I'm going to be teaching that has some pretty crazy, fast Keith Richards licks, which, you know, really is kind of funny thinking about Keith, but he does these really fast licks in this song. And he uses this technique to kind of go really fast on the minor pentatonic. Okay. So I thought at the very least, this is a great exercise, exercise 4, just to work on your hammer-ons and pull-offs. Okay. Yeah, some good tips here on the D chord, all right? Yeah, Mark B, we got some stuff off between the buttons. We've got some stuff off of Her Majesty's Surface, whatever that one is, the sort of psychedelic record. This one's from the psychedelic record. It's from a song called Let's Sing This Song All Together, something like that. Anyway, there's like a freak out section in the middle, and Keith is playing these weird licks. And this is where this exercise came from, because I've been working on that this week. All right. Really helpful to get these snippets using scale tones rather than just playing up and down a scale mindlessly. Absolutely. Good stuff, John. I love it. Pull-offs and flick-offs is the same, right? HH, I think so. Yeah, I think, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I've heard that term, flick-offs, but okay. Yes. Is it in Keith's tuning? No. Although I have been getting into Open G because we got some other stuff we're teaching in Open G, but this one's in standard. And we can play it just off. It's just a B minor pentatonic scale pattern here. Okay. And the key to this one, if you look at the first bar of this, exercise 4, okay, the key to being able to go fast on this is to bar down with your index finger on those low 3 strings, okay? Okay, he's doing stuff like that. And it's Keith, right? So it's not exactly like Paul Gilbert super accurate, okay? He's going really fast, but it has that Keith sort of vibey, you know, I hesitate to use the word sloppy, but it's not quite super precise, right? So just go slow with it at first. This is a great hammer-on pull-off exercise, but the key to going fast is to bar down, okay, on the low strings. Okay, so I'm using B minor pentatonic. You know that box pattern, right? Just the low 3 strings. It's really hard to get going fast and super clean, right? But it will work on building strength, especially if you use your pinky for this, because your pinky is going to tend to be sort of the weakest link here. Now, little tip here, because I know in recent weeks we've been trying to focus a little more on muting. Okay, I'm doing something really subtle here that mutes each string as I move to the next one. If I don't do that, do you hear how everything sort of blends it together a little bit? Blends together. Because I'm not muting the first one. I'm letting it ring. Second one ring. Third one ring. Okay? That's no muting at all. But what I'm doing, I'm kind of moving my hand. I don't know if you can see this. When I go to pick the A string, this part of the thumb is actually just cutting off the low string as I go to pick the next one, and the same thing on the D string. Can you guys see that? You can kind of build that in, okay? Just a little tip, because I know we've been talking a little bit about how do I tame this thing, right? How do I get it to be a little cleaner? Those are the kind of things you end up doing. And, you know, to be honest, I had to really slow it down and think about what I was doing, because I was doing it subconsciously. I had no idea. It wasn't like, you know, this is after years of playing. I just instinctively did that, right? It's really hard to do, okay? So again, it's the kind of thing where you got to go really slow, right? And first of all, get sort of the notes under your fingers, focus on that. Make sure you're doing the hammer-ons and pull-offs nice and cleanly, as clean as you can, and then turn your focus to where your fingers are and where the pick is. If I slow it down, right? Okay. The rest of this exercise is just on different string sets using the same scale pattern. So again, so in the second bar, you're going to make sure to bar down with one finger on the A, D, and G string. You know, you can kind of mix this up and do this all sorts of different ways, right? Top. Okay. Okay. So Cool little exercise, I think. Anyway, if anything, just a little bit of a finger strengthener, maybe. Hammer-ons and pull-offs, getting them a little tighter. Okay. Just thought it'd be a cool thing to throw in here. Let's see. There we go. Laura's got it working. Great job, but slowly is good. If you've got it working, that's key. So just keep at it, right? The speed will come. Let's see, Joshua, can you make a song tutorial for Heat Waves? Is that a Stone song? I'm not sure. We do have a Heat Wave. Was there one by The Who that we had on the site at some point? Sort of rings a bell. The Who version. On the forum, there is on Guitar Tricks, there is in the forum, right at the bottom, you can request a song. Now, I know a lot of people request songs and it kind of don't show up. It's sort of hard for Guitar Tricks to get stuff. There's a huge process involved in trying to get stuff licensed for the site. So, so take it with a grain of salt, but at least give it a try, right? Let's see, Doug, Keith's marijuana field. Absolutely. Especially that section, that freak out section in Sing This All Together, I think is the song. Lots of crazy licks in that one. All right. Cool. All right. So exercise 5. Let's get into triads, double stops. Right. Yes, absolutely. Laura, they did do a lot of R&B kind of covers in the beginning, didn't they? Absolutely. They all did, right? Like Stones did a lot of blues and R&B. Beatles as well, right? Kind of the thing to do before they started writing songs and getting good at it. All right. Let's look at these triads. I've got exercise 5. Starting with a G triad, 5th fret of the D, 4th fret of the G, 3rd fret of B. Okay? Just those 3 strings will give you a G major chord. It's called the triad because it's 3 notes. Okay? If you move down to the 4th fret of the D, 2nd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B, this is a D chord, D triad, but they call this a first inversion triad because the lowest note is the major 3rd, or the 3rd of the chord, which is F sharp. It's still a D major, but we call this a first inversion, just an inversion of a D major chord. Okay, so I'm going to play through this and we'll talk a little bit more about this. Notice that we've got a little bit of a triplet groove going. So when I get up to the double stop part of this riff, you're going to hear a shuffle or a swing going instead of just straight stuff. So here we go. Okay. So that's the idea here. We're combining triads, 3-note chords, with some melodies played as double stops, which is basically a melody that's harmonized, 2 notes playing at the same time, connecting some chords. Cool stuff. Okay, so G, D, G. Check it out. We're doing quarter notes, right? 1, 2. Well, what's on the second beat is a rest, that little squiggly line, quarter note rest. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, using my karate chop, also cutting off the chord by lifting off with my fretting fingers. Okay, the combination of both makes it nice and clean. Also gives me time to get down and get the next chord. Okay, now double stops. I'm taking part of that G chord, 5th fret of the D, 4th fret of the G, and just going up the scale, right? Basically a G major scale right there with a harmony. So going to a C chord. Okay, so the C shape is the same as the G shape, but now I'm in a different position. I've got the 10th fret of the D, 9th fret of the G, 8th fret of the B. You recognize that as part of the full C major bar chord, right? Okay. When I flatten down 10th fret of the D, G, and B string, that's actually an F major chord, but it's a second inversion. What does that mean? It means that the low note is a C note. That's the 5th. Okay. So if we're talking about the 5th as the lowest note, that's your second inversion. Okay. So we have just a triad, which would be root 3rd, 5th. Okay, in order from low to high. That's just a regular triad. A first inversion would go 3rd, 5th root. from low to high. And the second inversion would go 5th, root, 3rd, low to high. Okay, so that's what's going on with that shape. Okay. And then just playing those same notes coming back down to G. Okay. Now note that we had that shuffle, right? So instead of, right, like that, 3 and 4 and, we've got 3 and 4 and. Okay. So I think I actually played that. Okay. I'm actually going to have to correct that mistake. I think I transcribed that sort of incorrectly. Okay. I'm going to correct that and put a version 2 up as soon as we're finished with this session. All right. The rhythm's not quite right there in the last part, the double stop part. All right. Apologies. Okay. Exercise 5B, same thing, but let's change string sets, use some different shapes. So coming up to use a G chord that looks like the D shape, but moved up to the 7th position. Just different shapes. We got a G chord, 7-7-5 on the GB, and high E string is the D chord. Okay. Now I'm using 6th intervals. It's still double stops, but you can see that I've got a string in between that I have to mute. Those intervals are further apart from the root up into the harmony, right? So this is a common thing. Now I've got the C chord up top here that looks like a D. Okay. Let me play through the whole thing. All right, here we go. One more time. All right, that's what we're going for in exercise 5. Hopefully you're hanging with it. All right, exercise 6. Let's talk about the dominant 7th sus4 chord. So I'm going to play through this first one, 6A, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of Sloop John in there, I think. Kind of harkens to that a little bit. Good call right there, Laura. All right. Let's see. One more time. Messing that up. I went and threw a monkey wrench into it, and now it just totally tripped me up there. There we go. That's what I meant with that. All right, so sort of playing this in some different areas of the fretboard, just basically going from a B7 sus4 to a B7, and then doing the same thing with A7 and A7 sus4. Let's come up, barring at the 7th fret, adding the 9th fret of the A and the G string. You can hear that sounds kind of has a tension to it, right? It's not resolved until I come down 1 fret on the G string, in this case on the 8th fret. Right? All right, so let's talk about this a little bit. So that's the major third, and sort of the last chord here, B7, means we've got the flat 7th here on the D string. That's on your index finger on the bar. And you got the major third right there. But when you put your pinky in front of the major third on the G string, 1 fret, that turns it from a major chord to a sus4. But I'm still holding down the 7th, right? So it's a B7 sus4. Okay. Really common kind of chord, right? It has an airy sound to it that I really like. Let's check out the strums here. We've got a down up, and then a rest. So on the downstroke, I'm going to use the karate chop on that motion to cut off the chord. Then we're going to the B7, so I'm pulling my pinky off, and then opening up to the upstroke there and letting it ring out. Okay, and I'm going to miss the next downstroke because I want to keep this going, right? That down right there. Up, down, up. So really slow. That's how we need to practice that a little bit, get it under. We've got that same rhythm in all bars, okay? So it's doing the same thing for 2 frets down, for that's A7, sus4 to A7. Excuse me. And then just playing those chord voicings with root 5 instead of root 6. The voicing looks a little bit different. So you're playing off that B7 chord with the bar at the 2nd fret from the A string all the way up. And then I just threw in a little bit of a monkey wrench on the A. Instead of the open E string, because you're playing an A7, you would normally sort of play that in open position with an open E, but you can also do it with the G note, 3rd fret of the high string. So what I did is add the D note, 3rd fret of the B string. That gives you the sus4 with the G on your pinky, right? And then you have to move to the 2nd fret of the B. Okay? So just a different voicing there. That's kind of cool. So remember, your A7, you can add in the G note, 3rd fret of the high string if you want, just for a different sound. It's a little subtle, right? And then with that D note, making it the sus4. Sounds pretty cool, I think. Exercise 6B is sort of the funky version of this. So just playing a pared down chord. Let's see, right here. More of a funky rhythm. Okay, so I've got the top 3 strings here. Okay, one more time. One more time. Okay, so we're letting that ring out for a couple beats there, right? Okay, so I'm not playing the full dominant 7th chord here. I'm just playing 3 of the 4 notes. Okay, so sort of a triad version of it that sort of outlines that chord, but it's not the full chord. So it makes it a little funkier, right? So I'm adding in the muted chicks in there, so because I've got 16th note strums going. All right, you with me? So if you want to open it up to some funk strumming, that would be a way to do it. So again, that's sort of a higher octave version of that sus4 sound. It works really well in sort of a funk context. Let's check out exercise 7, a hammer-on lick, right? You probably recognize sort of a song that might feature something like this. Right, maybe a little faster. Right, so just what's cool about this is that it's a major pentatonic kind of sound. It's a majory sound. We're using A major pentatonic notes. Okay, hammering on from 5 to 7 on the B string and then grabbing 5 on the high string. Again, you want to bar down on both of those strings for the maximum amount of speed there. and then it's a full step bend, 7th fret of the high string with vibrato. And then repeating that. Now I'm doing the bend 8th fret of the B string. That's a minor pentatonic sound. That's from the flat 7 going up to the root. Going from a G to an A. So you're sort of mixing, right? You're mixing the sound of the major and minor, which we do a lot in rock, in pop, in blues, and in country, right? Sort of going back and forth a lot and just giving different sounds, all right? So again, another great sort of exercise for hammer-ons. And experiment with it. See what you can kind of come up with, right? I know I'm rushing here in the last 5 minutes, but I got some cool stuff here to show a little bit of Billy Gibbons kind of hybrid picking. What do we mean by hybrid picking? Let's see. Something like that, right? Cool. What we're using is A minor pentatonic. Again, 5 notes, right? But going backwards. Turns out that 5 and 3 on the high string, 5 and 3 on the B string, and then 5 on the G string, A minor pentatonic notes, right? I'm keeping it steady with picking that open A. Now I'm using a finger to pluck the high notes. Okay, so that first bar, it's all together except for like the second part of this, it alternates in 16th notes here. So you're starting with the pick and the pluck on the 5th fret of the high string. But then you're going to alternate, picking the open A, plucking the high A, 5th fret of the high string, and then back to the pick on the open A. So just try that much. Then the rest of it is all on the same beat. Okay, so coming down together. Really cool sound, right? And just a little variation in that second bar where I'm going. Kind of that kind of thing, right? Add a little bit of speed to it once you get it under your fingers. Sounds really cool. That kind of thing. All right? This is a song called Gots to Get Paid, I think, by ZZ Top, but what a cool riff, right? Are we planning to add it to Guitar Tricks? Well, again, like I said, would love to do it, but it's a lengthy process, and all we can do is shoot them in the forum, request sort of, make a song request in the forum, and just cross your fingers. Or they're actively trying to get as many songs as they can. There you go. Okay, cool. Last one, Funk 49. You know the song. It's on Guitar Tricks, actually. If you want to look up Funk 49 or James Gang or something, it's kind of an older tutorial, but what a killer riff, right? So I'm just going to play it. This is exercise 9. It's a little bit of an extra for tonight, but I thought about doing it. Okay. One thing I would do is I kind of right at the end of that, you have an octave of the open A and the 7th fret of the D, and I always found that it was sort of hard to hit that when you're trying to keep it loose, like with the. You want sort of the wide strums to get the feel, and it's hard to kind of come in with that with that last little bit in the last bar. So I can do the same thing by grabbing the octave, 5th fret of the low string, curling my finger to mute the A, and then getting the 7th on the D string. And I find that's a little bit easier because it works better for the wide strum. So okay. Thought I'd throw it in there, right? We got some hammer-ons, we got some pull-offs, wide strums. Keep that strums going. I put in the downs and ups on that one, play with it. But if you're on Guitar Tricks, definitely check it out, okay? Because that tutorial is up, okay? So check it out. It's a classic, all right? Everybody, that went quick. I appreciate everybody for joining, everybody for checking us out each and every Friday. I love all the engagement on the comments. Keep it coming. We'll be back next week on the acoustic. All right. Let's see. Thank you. Rusty, Jersey Red. Thanks so much. Chris K. Thank you. John, thanks. Laura, thank you. Doug, thank you as always. Mark B. John, my friend, thank you. Robin, as always, thanks so much on the comments. King 50, thank you. Danny, I appreciate it. Joshua, thank you. HH, thank you. Pinch harmonics. There we go. Could have done that, right? Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. Scott, thank you. Mel, excellent. Check out the replay. Appreciate it. Jack, thank you. 295. Do you like the low friction pot on the Wolf? Actually, I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. I know why he has that spec. It's for the, because his cathedral kind of thing. But it's way too easy to bump it, I find. And kind of, so I'm always kind of on it, just making sure it's all the way up when I need it to be all the way up. But I can deal with it. But it's not really my preference, but I understand why it's a feature on this guitar, right? Jim Gregory, thank you. Alonzo, thanks. Jake99, thank you. Zane, appreciate it. Thank you. Shirok, thank you. Erica, thank you so much. John, thanks. Larry. Jack, learned some stuff tonight. Excellent. That's all. That's what we're going for. All right. Steve, thanks. James, thank you. Mark, thanks so much. Jody1, thanks. Joshua. All right. Robin, everybody, take care. I enjoyed being here too. We'll see you in a week. All right. Hopefully you got some stuff to work on this week, and have a great weekend, everybody. And we'll see you soon. All right. Take care, everybody. See ya.